What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. It is the second day of April, April 2nd here. Here we are at about $66.4 thousand with roughly 9 hours and 50 minutes left in the day. We're getting a late start on the day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Let's get into it, okay? Now, yesterday, and I should even say, a few days ago, we were thinking that this move would take us up above these highs and below these highs. But yesterday, at the high point here, after hitting 69K, that was the original target from here, is that we would go to 69 to 70K. And then I did think somewhere along the way that we might push a little bit higher. But here we were assuming that we'd come down, right? And the reason why is because if we look at this, well, I mean, there's more than just one reason why, but if we look at this, it's a pretty well established parallel channel all the way down here. And the assumption yesterday from the high was that we would move below these lows here. Now, that can change. We absolutely still might be on a path down to this area, but when we look at the short-term stuff, maybe from here, this is enough. We're finding support at prior support, and maybe we are on our way up. Maybe we are about to break out of this channel. Let's see what's going on. The only reason why I'm taking that bullish idea into account right away without doing any TA is because everybody seems very pessimistic on the price action, specifically because of the Iran war with the United States and Israel. We don't really hear too much about Israel, though. We're only hearing about the United States. That worries me. Anyways, most of the time that we've been at kind of like the worst points of this conflict where things seem the worst, that's when we've been at our relative low points every single time. So that does make me think, if the news is spreading a bunch of fear and a bunch of panic and worry, that actually might be the best time to buy, just historically speaking. But let's look at the short-term stuff. Let's get into the 1 hour. I don't really care about the news. I do care about people's emotions and how the news enacts those emotions, but the TA matters more. So let's look at that. If we're looking at this here, we are coming down with less volume, right? There's not a lot of volume. We've broken out here. You've got these higher lows. You've broken out here. There's a little bit of volume. That's good enough for a breakout, I would say, especially on the 1 hour time frame here. But you persisted lower without any volume coming in. So that does make me think, maybe we still could go lower, but first we're going to see a little bit of upside and then come down. Maybe get a lower high here, something like that. Let's look at the 1 hour indicators. A little bit of bullish divergence there, right? Higher lows on the RSI. Makes sense that we'd come up. Stochastics double bottom. The MACD's bearish, but you can still come up and still be bearish. So I'm not seeing anything here that tells me this is the low of which we're going to see a higher high. So I'm not going to call for that yet, but I would expect some type of retracement here. So from a high to a low, especially because everybody's panicking, we'll probably come up to the 382 or the golden ratio zone somewhere in here. What, it's Thursday. Is the stock market open tomorrow? Somebody told me we have a long weekend because of Good Friday and Easter Monday. I didn't know. Do the banks take those days off? Why is this so slow, man? Something is wrong. It's definitely with my internet, man. It's really annoying. I'm going to get it fixed. I cleaned up my computer and I thought that would be enough, but I think it is something with the internet. Maybe Grok will be faster. Is the stock market open tomorrow? Like, how is this going so much faster? No, the stock market is not open tomorrow. Good Friday, April 3rd closed. The market will reopen on Monday. Okay, so it will be open on Monday. It will be open on Monday. I'm going to ask him. Make sure. For sure. Make sure that he runs it again. Or all the agents. Now it's not just like Grok, right? It's a bunch of different agents. It's like it says 4 different agents are thinking. Yes, for sure. Okay, so we have a 3-day weekend then. Stock market won't be open tomorrow, but it will be open on Monday. Okay. in which case, I mean, I could see us moving up here today. Maybe we don't get quite to the golden ratio, but that'd be the highest expectation. So 68.2K maybe, but at least 67K. Okay, we're at 66.4K. That's not a whole lot. A little bit of a lower high, and then we probably, over our long weekend, we probably see some neutral sideways volatility. So if we move up here today, maybe tomorrow we move up a little bit more, we get people excited, we move back down over Saturday, whatever. We could move back up. It's probably going to be boring, and then Sunday, Monday, we probably come back down, and then Monday we'll probably proceed lower. We'll see. We'll have to definitely take it as it goes. But at the moment, I'm thinking that we do come up for a little bit of life today, and maybe even going into tomorrow, and we probably come down lower. Okay, so that gets proven wrong. I'm wrong, and we are going above this high if we start getting 4-hour candle closes above $68.2 thousand. 68.2K, 4-hour candle bodies, 2 of them in a row. We start doing that, we're going to be likely moving higher than this high, going up to 70K and beyond. Okay, 68.2K is the line in the sand. Don't just get above there, close above there on a 4-hour basis. That's important. Okay, but yes, for now I think that we are moving up for now. Stochastics are very bearish. The RSI is taking a more bearish shape, but a little bit of a move up. 4-hour time frame here. And if I'm wrong, cool. Then I could be wrong in 2 ways, right? Maybe we do go beyond this high. That's one way that I'm wrong. If I'm wrong the other way, maybe we just keep dropping. That's possible as well. The 1-hour time frame is not building a whole lot of volume on the way down, but it could if we started to go lower here. You know, we kind of are at a place where if we were to break through, then volume could come through. It might make sense. So if we do go lower than this low, it's quite simple, 65.7K. If we go below 65.7K, then I would change my belief immediately to the idea that we went to the 786, found support in the, or resistance in the golden ratio zone, and now we're going down to 63.8 to 62.4K. All right, somewhere down here. Ultimately, I do think this is the goal. But is this going to happen today or tomorrow? I'm not thinking so, at least not at this point. I would think more so maybe next week, maybe. And that is subject to change. That is definitely subject to change. You know, down here, am I in the right place? Yeah, down here, I was thinking that we would move up above these highs. I was thinking that it would be a methodical movement up, but that we would move up above these highs. And then up here, I changed my mind halfway through this move, and I said, hey, we're not going to go up here anymore. We're going to come down, and we're actually going to see lower lows. So if I'm calling for these lower prices now, that is subject to change as well. I can change that. If I see things in the charts, you know, having the idea to go up here is one thing, but then seeing it in the charts saying, hold up, now we're about to drop, you know, I'm open to changing that dynamic if I see things in the charts. I feel like I'm over-explaining things. I over-explain things because I want you guys to see how my brain works with this, so that if you're doing your own analysis, you can take notes, compare notes, whatever. None of this is financial advice. I mean, let's call it for what it is. We've been killing it with the Bitcoin calls over the last month. It's actually been very interesting. I feel like I've had a very good track record over the past month specifically. And then also, you know, since February, everybody's been telling us that we're going to rip through the roof, go above 100K. We're back at a bull market. The bear market's over. We're going to dump through the floor. We're going to go below 50K here. It's going to be quick. The next leg of the bear market's starting. We've been hearing that. And this whole time I've been saying that we're just going to move sideways. And that's been the best call. That really has been the most consistent call. We're still going to be moving sideways. We're still range bound, and I think that we're going to continue to be range bound until May or June. But enough of that. Enough buttering of my bread here. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, unfortunately, we did have this uptrend of which we've broken out of. That's not good. But fortunately, you know, throughout this whole range as a consolidation zone, typically it is in these areas around the 40 level to the oversold area that we do find support. Now, I don't think that we're quite there to the area that we might look to normally find support, but we could see a little bit of volatility. Come up to the 50, maybe come up to the 60. It's pretty common from the 40 to go to the 60 and then back down, or to the 50 and then back down. So a little bit of upside makes sense from here. Stochastics are oversold, reset, come up to the 50 and then come back down, right? Or come up a little bit like this and then come back down. Maybe we get something a little bit more exuberant, but then we come back down. Actually, looking at it in this light, we're getting oversold here, went all the way up to the overbought zone, all the way up to the overbought zone. And here you stayed oversold for quite some time, but all the way to the overbought zone every single time, except for right here. Interesting. I wonder how that's going to work out. It's the weekend. It's a long weekend. So I think this could slowly climb up over the long weekend, and we could really not do much price-wise. Like it could be a slow process up, and it probably will be. The weekend will probably be very boring, my friends. The 4-hour MACD makes me bearish because we're finding resistance at the 0 here, and it looks like we are going to cross back through. Maybe I had the wrong idea with the stochastics. Maybe we're not looking to move up just yet. Maybe it will be a kind of slower process like this, or it could be a slower process like this where we're slowly shifting up, but inevitably we'll drop down. We're moving sideways and choppy. I don't know. Maybe I'm weighing too much on that. All I'm trying to say is I think it's still a valid thought that we move up from here. I just don't think it's a valid thought that we move up above this high. Okay. If we do move up above this high, we likely will see prices above this high, but that doesn't mean that we're going above this high. So again, if we get above 68.2K on 2 4-hour closing time frames, closing periods, I do assume that we would see something in that 72 to $75,000 area, somewhere in there. Probably, let's see, if I was wrong, probably right there at about, actually let's say 71.5 to 73.5K, maybe 74.5K, if I was wrong. But I am assuming that I'll be right. I'm assuming that we'll find resistance here, and then we will probably move down. Okay, move lower. Daily time frame. RSI is finding resistance to the 50. The daily RSI doesn't look too good. I mean, maybe today probably does close red, and then maybe tomorrow moves up a little bit. But I do think this daily RSI, I think that we are working our way down to the oversold zone. I think that's happening. So next week is looking like it will provide lower prices. I doubt that we make these movements down over the weekend. Being that it's Thursday, we have the 3-day week coming about. I think that we will move up, we will move down, we'll be moving sideways, and then whenever next week comes around, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in that time frame, we'll probably see that final shove down in this little range that we're in here. That will be the low. We'll find support somewhere else here. It'll look like we're breaking out of this range overall, but really we're just finding support at prior support, and then we will likely recover from there. I wouldn't be surprised if in the midst of this dropping, if scary news came out, news that if all you're doing is being self-absorbed in the news, that is probably very worrisome or troublesome, and maybe it is, but I don't think it'll have as big of an impact on the price as people will make it out to be. That's just my perspective, and that's been my perspective every single one of these lows that we've had, and then we move up. So whenever the news is the most bearish, is typically a good time to buy. I wouldn't be surprised if lower price action came and also more bearish news came as well. But it's not going to come here. It's going to happen at the low. The water's already being chummed with bearishness. Once the bears are out in full force, that's when we lay the trap, and that's whenever we move up. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm going to end the video there. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. The MACD looks bearish on the daily time frame. We took a potential bullish situation, turned it into a bearish situation, so it's not good. I definitely do believe, more so now than I did in the beginning of this video, that we are not going to go above these highs. We're not going to break out of this lower high trend anytime soon. And when I say anytime soon, I just mean probably in the next week. Later this month, sure, I think that we will. But I do believe that we have lower to go. I do believe that we will get below this low. We'll get below this low. We'll probably interact with these low areas down here. We take the relative low of this range to the relative high of this range overall. We went from the golden ratio zone to the 0.5382 area. Very common procedure when working your way down to the 786, 886. So with that, what I will say for the first time in this video, and it might even be the first time that I've said this throughout this whole range, well, maybe not throughout the whole range, but since the beginning of March, actually. I think we're going to go below this low. I think we will. And let me just see here real quick. Again, that low there, let me delete everything. That low there from a low, nope, that wasn't the low. Got to put it right on there. We got to get it right on. Low to high. Golden ratio 382 down to your 786, 886 zone. That low's right there. We might go all the way down to 61.6K. 61.6 to 63.1K. That's the call at the moment. Golden ratio, guys. The golden ratio lines up right with that low. Maybe we find support right at that low. Literally like right at 62.4K. We could get a slightly higher low. I don't think... I'm starting to think more so just because of the way that the 886 acts and the way that this acts. If we were to go below the golden ratio here, we'd likely go to this zone, but then we're getting below the 886 a little bit. It could happen, but I think it's less likely to happen. I think what's more likely to happen here is we either do find direct support at that golden ratio directly at this low. Maybe we wick through it a little bit, so we fake people out, or we find support somewhere here. So I'm gonna change the target area. I know I've done this like 3 times now in this video, but we're really refining it here. I'm gonna say 64. Let's say 63.8K to 62.4K. 63.8K to 62.4K. Prove me wrong and get above 68.2K on a daily closing basis, 2 4-hour closing basis in a row. Whatever you got to do. 63.8, 62.4, somewhere in that zone there. That's where I believe we're going to go. And likely we will be there next week. Not over the weekend, but next week. Next week is the 6th to the 12th. Take care. Adios. I know it was a lot. I know I feel like I went back and forth on some things there, but I think the analysis is good. Take care. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.